Facts. Let's get it. With the twin millies. Bumpy nuts. Niggas can't see see why.
When I was small, I made pause tapes for super sperm. Rapping in high school, drinking 40, smoking churn. Listen to cold crushing grams, that's the cat spitting. Getting something in that niggas ain't now getting.
Feel me?
Remember everybody wanted to be
these God divine. Real niggas got the attributes right through 99.
Peace to the God Tahim,
watching over me.
White chariots and horses, get me over
rough courses.
While I silence those voices that
now me ability to rip these young ass niggas. Oh, this is lambs versus lambs. These niggas doing turn this mother down. Cause we're all so much ill shit. Make up my sounds before I get money. And niggas uptown, don't even face niggas up now. Fuck all that peacemaking bullshit. You that you like a bullshit. That's all bullshit. You denying on some bullshit. You say you busted, that's bullshit. Facts. I'm about to say hip hop like Ghost did the Woo. That's facts. That's facts. Okay, alright. You know, I start off with these songs because, you know, some of y'all are not familiar with some of these records. So I'm trying to put y'all up on, you know, the real shit, the hot shit. Because a lot of people be talking that fraud shit. Oh, you know, so-and-so rappers, the dopest thing ever. They bringing hip-hop back. Nah, I know the shit. All right, let's get into it, man. Today we're going to talk about some real ill shit. Let's vibe out. Hey, I love this fucking joint, man. This is like, I've said this, but this is to me one of the best West Coast records ever made. You know what I mean? This Kurupt, We Can Freak It. Yeah, man, this shit is butter. Okay, I was watching Doggie Diamonds. I got a lot of notes, man. First of all, let me just say first and foremost that actually I fuck with Doggie Diamonds and his content. You know, I like Doggie Diamonds. I think his, you know, he has really good interviews for the most part. And I like that he's shedding light on some of these artists that have, you know, dropped some interesting things that people don't necessarily talk about. They're not about to go up on Hot 97 and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that they didn't contribute something to the culture. So I want to say that first and foremost. Now, I don't necessarily always agree with what Doggie says, but that's fine. Not everybody agrees with everything, and that's just how these things go. So Doggie Diamonds, I noticed, had a video where he was talking about Jim Jones being delusional for thinking that he was a better rapper than Conway because Conway has bars. The reality is that both of these niggas is trash, right? They're both sleepy coon rap. I'll get back to what I mean by that exactly, but I just thought it was interesting how Doggie Diamonds was basically talking about this shit, and he was like, oh, Conway could outbar Jim Jones. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but you haven't quoted any bars that Conway has. So I always think that that's really interesting. And you'll find that a lot with these so-called bars rappers. People never remember anything they actually say. People just remember that they spit with aggression, basically, and you know, I got shot in the face, you know, that kind of shit. But nobody remembers anything they say because anything they say is kind of bullshit and is boring, right? So, anyways, I got my notes. I'm gonna look at this because I want to go into this in some kind of depth, all right? So, the first and foremost is the fact that I'm surprised that Doggie actually even likes these niggas to begin with, because Jim Jones and Conway to me are that low tier rap that I don't listen to. Okay, remember when Prodigy called Jim Jones garbage? I'm pretty sure he called him garbage in that video where he was making fun of Fat Joe and a bunch, right? See, he doesn't listen to that sleepy wannabe rap shit, and I agree with him, man. Like, I've always felt that rap is for a certain few. It's for the people that really have the charisma and the talent for it. It's not just for people who want to make a living or, you know, just have the right connections. I never believed in that shit. You know, even as a kid growing up listening to rap, I always felt like, yeah, this person is rapping because they are talented and they have a knack for it. They can do something that the average person cannot. Right? So for me to listen to somebody that is just like everybody else, or to listen to somebody that is not doing anything new or special or bringing anything really fresh to the game is pointless, because I'm like, I'll just go listen to the guys who are fresh. You know what I'm saying? And I like that shit. And you'll notice that when it comes to people that I like, these are people that consistently are bringing new energy and new voices and sort of new flows, or just a vibe. There's something fresh and unique about them. That's what I like, because to me that's hip-hop at its core. Why else would you listen to hip-hop, almost? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the thing is, Doggie Diamonds was talking about how Conway was ill with it and all that stuff, and didn't quote a single bar. And see, I have a problem with this, because I've always felt that a lot of these bars rappers are actually trash, and low-key people don't really notice how trash these guys are. Because the reality is that if you're supposedly a really nice rapper, and you got bars, I should remember what you're saying. It should be pretty obvious, you know, like. And the number one thing I have with these bars rappers is that they all use the same excuse. Oh, you know, we talking about technically, you know, skillfully. Well, nigga, if you don't have the skill to make records, you're not a rapper. You're not, you know, you're not dope at this shit. Why the fuck you rapping? All the greatest rappers, all the cats that we say, yo, this guy got serious pen skills and all that shit, they all make great records. Number one, right? I don't care who you talk about. Who do you think has a great pen game? Lauryn Hill, Nas, Jay, Biggie, Prodigy, Common, KRS-One, Slick Rick, you know what I'm saying? Jadakiss. We can go on and on. These guys have made great records, songs, period. Consistently, actually. So if you can't make a great song, how the fuck can you say that you're a good rapper? I just don't believe that shit. And I think that shit is bullshit, honestly. You can't say that you're in the company of Jadakiss and them when Jadakiss has made great songs, as we've seen before. He's been part of great songs. He says shit that people fucking remember. So that's the thing for me. I don't like that shit. You know, what I think is interesting is that if you compare, right, a great rapper and of course a trash bar rapper, of course, like I said, none of them say nothing. But like, you look at how people rap, because really, as I've said, that's really the most important thing. Vocally, a rapper brings to the table their essence, their aura, who they are vocally, their charisma, their personality. That is number one, period. I don't give a fuck who you know, talk to. Listen to fucking Nas, right? When Nas is on the rise and fall, he's like, for 4 minutes of your time, watch me demonstrate it, right? Like, there's a certain way that Nas raps. The beat is ill, what he's saying is ill, but more importantly, it's vocally what Nas is projecting on the record that makes the shit knock and make it ill, right? And that's my point. Like, Nas has made a lot of great records, so you can't really hide behind this idea that somehow you're so much of a lyricist, but you just happen to have never made a good song. I just don't believe it. And when Doggie Diamonds was even talking about, you know, the thing that makes Conway stand out compared to Jim Jones, he mentioned the cow, from what I saw. And it's like, the cow is not, well, first of all, the cow is mediocre, right? The cow has always been mediocre. Griselda stands like to put this, you know, this song on some kind of platform. It's really not that special. The vocals are average to slightly below average. The rhymes are kind of, you know, they're all right. They're actually, yeah, they're average. I would say that they're average. I mean, it's just a guy talking about, you know, he got shot in the face and now he's got to rep Buffalo. I mean, it's 50 Cent lore all over again. I've heard this before. It's not done in anything that's particularly compelling. But what I do think is interesting is that when you compare it to Conway's shit, because I have heard Conway's shit, I hear all these rappers before I talk about them. It's actually bar for bar. I would argue it's not as bar heavy as some of Conway's other shit. But it's interesting that Griselda fans latch onto the song The Cow. And you know why that is? That's because The Cow has a little bit at least, you know, because they know deep down, as much as these Griselda stans love to talk about bars and shit like that, they deep down know that that shit don't really fucking matter. What matters is emotion and vibe and being able to tell your story in a way that's heartfelt and means some shit. And The Cow is arguably Conway's most meaningful song, and is like, so I get it. I mean, I would understand why someone would, you know, recommend listening to that, but that's my point, right? At the end of the day, if you're not, you know, putting any meaning into your music, and that's emotionally, not talking about so much intellectually, but emotionally, if you're not putting any meaning into your music is trash. Right? And this is why, again, Griselda fans can hide up behind those bars, but they know deep down that at the end of the day, it comes down to the song as a whole. Because even their favorite Conway song don't have bars like that. You know what I'm saying? But there's a little bit more soul there than there is in a lot of other Conway shit that I've heard personally. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, you know, if you were to present it and say, like, you know, this song has more bars than, you know, let's say a mumble rapper, I guess. But again, you know that shit don't matter, because you're you know, putting a song by Conway that actually has less bars than what he would typically spit on the pedestal. So like I said, it don't matter. You know this and I know this, right? Now, he goes into this whole shit where he's like, you know, oh, well, Conway has rapped with legends and he didn't sound whack on it. But I'm like, you see, this is that celebrity rap shit that I don't like, and I've talked to you guys about before. Celebrity rap to me is corny and it's boring, right? Because here's the thing. Conway is rapping on records with Method Man and maybe Jada and Styles and shit like that. Number one, as much as I love these legends, they are past their prime. They know it and I know it, right? So you're rapping with somebody that's past their prime. So that's number one. Number two, you're not even that impressive on it, period. It's not like you're doing anything that makes me go, wow. You're literally just struggling to keep up, right? And you're rapping with someone past their prime. To me, that's sad as fuck, honestly. Think about it like this, right? And I hate to go outside of music, but let me use a basketball example. If you were to play Scottie Pippen right now I don't know anything about Scottie Pippen's basketball skills, but if I played Scottie Pippen right now, Scottie Pippen might beat me, sure. But if, you know, I played him and I was actually a decent player in that basketball, I'm pretty decent, but like if I was playing college, for example, and I beat Scottie Pippen, does that mean that I should be in the NBA in 2021? Think about it, really. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people say this shit like, oh, he hung on a track with so-and-so legend, I'm like, so what? That legend is past their prime. The point is, could you hang with that legend in 94, in 96, when they were spitting that hot shit and they were making fire-ass music? No, you can't. So the conversation is a moot point. But you don't care about that. What you care about is association. You just want to be standing next to them cats. And hey, man, if that's what you want, then that's what you want. But that's sleepy wannabe rap, and I don't have time for that. You have to understand, there are certain people like myself who don't have any patience for that kind of shit. Because at the end of the day, why am I listening to a wannabe? I don't have no time for that shit. I think I'm going to wrap this up. You know, I've always said that at the end of the day, you're supposed to be able to make a great song. That's what makes you a rapper to begin with, a great rapper. You have to make at least one undeniable song. Jim Jones has been rapping all this time and ain't got not one undeniable classic record. That's garbage rap. The same thing with Conway. Not one that you could be like, yo, it doesn't even matter if you've ever heard of the dude, you've ever seen his face, whatever. You put that shit on and heads go, yo, that track was tough. Not one. And again, you can't tell me that you got bars or that you're a lyricist or you're actually a good rapper. It just so happens you haven't made a good song, because that's bullshit. All the greatest rappers, even the guys who, you know, had good pen or whatever and never managed to make like multiple great songs, they have at least one. Okay? Sauce Money, Against the Grain, is better than anything Jim Jones and fucking Conway have ever come out with. So that shit is bullshit. Sauce Money was able to make at least one fucking great song, at least solo to his name, that you can say, yo, that's my shit. You know what I'm saying? So how are you supposed to be some great rapper and you can't make a single great song? I just don't believe it. And I'm going to end it on that note, man. The last thing I wanted to sort of really touch on real briefly is the problem with listening to people who are lower tier to me is that lower tier rappers often obviously just rely on image and lifestyle. And that shit to me is actually borderline coon shit, because, you know, rap in a sense is kind of coon shit. Let's be honest here. When dudes is talking about, yo, I bust my gun, I rob every nigga in sight, you know, I'm killing people, and you know, I'm, you know, selling the crack fiends, that's coon shit. That's the shit that kind of white America loves to hear, that black suffering nonsense, right? Let's be super fucking real about this, okay? That shit is profitable, which is why it still continues to get rapped about to this very day. Now, I can stomach that stuff if you're a great rapper like Nas, if you're at least sort of telling me why you're busting your gun, and there's something, you know, interesting and charismatic about what's going on, because then I can kind of accept it as art and say, okay, you're kind of enlightening me here. You're at least entertaining me on some level in terms of presenting a perspective that I might not be familiar with. and you're doing it in a way that's really stylistic and cool and interesting. And so there is a purpose for you to be here. But when I look at someone like a Jim Jones or a Conway who don't have the charisma or the talent to pull off their own music, but they're just rapping about pimping and drugs and shit like that, that's, to me, that's just straight coon shit. And I know that that's the kind of music that speaks to the white boy dweebs out here who love that shit. They love that fantasy, like, oh, I can live through, you know, like, I can live vicariously through this dude for a minute, you know, and then, you know, 10, let's say 5 years from now, after I've done this, you know, rap fantasy shit, I can go back to my corporate job. Meanwhile, niggas is out here, you know, trying to live vicariously through these whack, low-tier rappers and getting locked up for that shit, okay, for life. You know what I'm saying? So I don't do that, man. I just, that's like an ideological reason why a lot of these guys are whack to me, because aside from the, you know, trash vocals and the trash beats, it's like, you're just rapping out here to tell me how much of a coon you are. I ain't got time for that. You know what I mean? So if you're not gonna fucking rap and make great quality music, get the fuck out the game. That's the way I look at it. But look, listen, people can say, hey, I gotta eat, you know, whatever. All right, well, if you want to coon and eat, then sure. But I'm not gonna, you know, sit here and pretend like that shit is hot. I'm gonna call it trash. You get your money though. All right? Deuce.